The year is 1915. I want you to close your eyes and imagine, just for a moment, that you are not a human being. You are a horse, and not just any horse. You are a magnificent, strong workhorse living in New York City. For 5,000 years, your kind has been the absolute engine of civilization. Nothing moved without you. No field was plowed, no carriage was pulled, no message was delivered across great distances without the sweat of your brow and the strength of your back. You are the backbone of the economy. You are essential. In this world of 1915, you have a job. You have a purpose. You wake up every morning, you are fed, you are groomed, and you go to work. You work hard. You pull heavy loads down cobblestone streets. Your muscles ripple, your lungs burn, and at the end of the day, you are tired, but you are satisfied. You have fulfilled your social contract. You gave your labor, and in exchange, you received shelter, food, and care. You believe with every fiber of your being that this arrangement is permanent. You believe that as long as you are willing to work hard, you will have a place in this world. After all, look at the city around you. It was built by horses. It runs on horses. The economy demands horses. But then you start to see something strange on the streets. It is noisy, it smells of oil and burning fumes, and it is ugly. It is the internal combustion engine. At first, you and your fellow horses laugh at it. It is unreliable. It gets stuck in the mud. It breaks down constantly. It is expensive. You look at this machine and you think, I am better. I am stronger. I can navigate uneven terrain. I have instincts. I can bond with my driver. That machine is cold and dead. It will never replace me because it lacks the spirit of the worker. You are wrong. Within just a few short decades, the horse population, which had been rising for centuries, collapsed. It didn't decline slowly, it fell off a cliff. We went from peak horse to near extinction of the working horse in a blink of historical time. Now, I want you to ask yourself a very painful question. Did the horses get lazy? Did they stop working hard? Did they suddenly decide they didn't want to pull carriages anymore? No. The horses worked just as hard in 1920 as they did in 1900. They were just as strong, just as loyal, and just as capable. But their economic value had dropped to zero. It did not matter how hard the horse worked. It did not matter if the horse woke up earlier or ran faster or ate less hay. The internal combustion engine could do the work cheaper, faster, and without needing to sleep. The utility of the horse was decoupled from the effort of the horse. The market didn't care about the horse's suffering or the horse's right to work. The market only cared about output. And once the engine arrived, the horse was no longer an asset. It was a liability. A mouth to feed that produced less than the cost of its food. Open your eyes. You are the horse. We are currently living through the greatest economic shift since the Industrial Revolution. But this time, the stakes are different. This is the paradox of the horse. We are all raised on a very specific human-centric belief system. We are taught from the moment we enter the school system that if we work hard, if we learn a skill, if we are diligent and loyal, we will be rewarded. We are taught that labor equals value, that sweat equals equity. We wear our burnout like a badge of honor. We tell ourselves, I am grinding, therefore I am valuable. But what happens when the engine arrives for the mind? For all of human history, our competitive advantage over the rest of the animal kingdom was our intelligence, our cognitive labor. We weren't the strongest or the fastest, but we could plan, we could calculate, we could write, we could code, we could strategize. We built an entire global economy based on the scarcity of human intelligence. A lawyer is paid well because legal analysis is hard and rare. A software engineer is paid well because writing complex code is mentally taxing and requires years of training. A copywriter, an accountant, a logistician, these are all jobs that rely on the processing power of the human brain. Artificial intelligence is the internal combustion engine for cognitive labor. We are entering a time where human labor is decoupling from economic value. Just like the horse, you can work hard. You can sit at your desk for 12 hours a day. You can type until your fingers bleed. You can memorize every textbook in the library. But if an AI agent can do that same task in 4 seconds, for a fraction of a cent, with zero errors, your hard work is economically irrelevant. This is a terrifying realization because it shatters the core identity of the modern worker. We define ourselves by what we do. I am a writer. I am a coder. I am a designer. We take pride in the struggle of creation. We believe that the struggle adds value, but the market is cold. The market is efficient. The market does not pay for your struggle, it pays for the result. If the result can be achieved without your struggle becomes a hobby, not a career. You might be thinking, but machines have always replaced jobs and we just found new ones. The Luddites smashed the looms, but we got clothing stores. The tractors replaced the farmers, but we got supermarkets. This is the standard economist's rebuttal. Technology destroys jobs but creates better ones. And historically, that has been true. When we replaced physical labor with machines, we moved up the ladder to cognitive labor. We stopped digging ditches with shovels and started designing excavators. We moved from the muscles to the mind, but here is the chilling part. There is nowhere left to move up to. When the machine comes for the muscles, you move to the mind. When the machine comes for the mind, where do you go? We are standing in the pasture in 1915, watching the Model T roll by. Some of us are laughing at it. It can't write poetry, we say. It lacks empathy, we say. It hallucinates, we say. We point out its flaws just like the horse pointed out that the car got stuck in the mud. We cling to the things we think make us special. We tell ourselves that there is a human spark that can never be replicated. We comfort ourselves with the idea that AI is just a tool, like a calculator or a spell checker. A helper, not a replacement. But the engine is getting better. Every month the engine gets faster, smarter, and cheaper. Meanwhile, biologically, you are stagnant. You are not getting smarter. You cannot upgrade your brain hardware. You have a bandwidth limit. You need 8 hours of sleep. You have emotional fluctuations. You get sick. You have an ego. In the eyes of pure capitalism, you are high-maintenance legacy hardware. This is not about doom-mongering. This is about clarity. If you continue to operate under the old rules, the rules that say hard work equals success, you are running a race you physically cannot win. You are the horse trying to outrun the car. You are trying to generate value through labor in an economy that is shifting to value through leverage. The Great Replacement isn't a conspiracy theory about people replacing people. It is the economic reality of silicon replacing carbon. It is the transition from an economy constrained by the cost of human thought to an economy liberated by the abundance of synthetic intelligence. So the question you need to ask yourself is not, how can I work harder? The question is, what is a horse to do when the engine takes over? If you answer that question with, I'll just pull the carriage harder, you are finished. The only way to survive Act 1 is to realize that the era of being the engine is over. You have to stop identifying as the source of power and start figuring out how to be the driver. Because the glue factory is waiting for those who refuse to stop running on the treadmill. For the entirety of human civilization, intelligence was the ultimate scarce resource. It was the gold standard of human capital. If you wanted a bridge built, you needed an engineer. If you wanted a contract written, you needed a lawyer. If you wanted a symphony composed, you needed a musician. These people were expensive because they were rare. To become one of them, you had to undergo years of rigorous training, conditioning your brain to process information in a specific, high-level way. We built our entire societal hierarchy on this scarcity. We told our children, get good grades, go to university, get a degree, become a knowledge worker. The promise was simple. If you are smart, you will be safe. If you have knowledge, you will have wealth. We are now witnessing the total liquidation of that promise. We are living through the hyperinflation of intelligence. When a government prints too much money, the value of the currency collapses. We understand this concept instinctively. But what happens when we print too much intelligence? What happens when the cognitive output that used to cost $500 an hour can be generated for a fraction of a penny in milliseconds? The value of that output crashes. We are entering the age of the zero marginal cost of knowledge. Consider the junior software developer. For decades, this was the golden ticket. a path to the middle class and beyond. A junior dev was paid to take a problem and translate it into syntax. They were a human compiler. They cost a company maybe $80,000, $100,000 a year. They needed health insurance, they needed breaks, they needed mentorship. Today, an AI model can write that same function, debug it, refactor it, and document it in seconds. The cost is negligible. It is essentially free. When the cost of a commodity drops to zero, the market for producing that commodity evaporates. If you are selling bottled water, and suddenly a pristine, magical fountain springs up in the town square that dispenses infinite water for free, you are out of business. It doesn't matter if your water is artisanal. It doesn't matter if you worked hard to bottle it. You cannot compete with free. And this brings us to the most dangerous misconception of the AI revolution: the midwit trap. For years, futurists predicted that automation would come for the blue-collar jobs first. We saw the robot arms in the car factories and assumed that was the future. We thought the truck drivers and the warehouse workers and the plumbers were the first on the chopping block. We thought the creative class and the intellectuals were safe in their ivory towers. We were wrong. We got it completely backwards. It turns out that robotics is incredibly difficult. Folding laundry, fixing a leaky pipe under a sink, wiring a house. These require distinct, complex, fine motor manipulation in chaotic, unstructured environments. That is hard for a robot. But writing a marketing email, summarizing a legal brief, creating a logo, debugging Python script, that involves symbol manipulation. That is pure data. And AI thrives on data. The people most at risk right now are not the plumbers. They are the middlemen of intellect. The people whose job is to take information from one place, process it slightly, and move it to another place. The copywriters, the paralegals, the middle managers, the junior analysts, the grant writers, the generic graphic designers. These are the midwits of the economy, not in a derogatory sense of their intelligence, but in the structural sense of their position. They sit in the middle of the value chain. They are the transmission fluid of the corporate engine. And the engine is being replaced by an electric motor that doesn't need transmission fluid. This is the intelligence collapse. It is the realization that being smart is no longer a unique selling proposition. In a room where everyone has access to a super genius AI assistant, your personal IQ becomes less relevant. It's like bringing a calculator to a math fight where everyone else has a supercomputer. Your ability to do long division in your head is impressive, perhaps, as a party trick. But it has no economic utility. We are seeing the erosion of the white-collar foundation. Look at the panic in the universities. The essay, the fundamental unit of academic assessment for centuries, is dead. It is over. Any student can generate a passable B- essay on the socio-economic impacts of the French Revolution in 3 seconds. The professors know it. The administrators know it. The degree, which was supposed to be a proof of work, proof that you could think, organize, and write, is becoming a proof of payment. This deflation of value hits the ego harder than the wallet. For the knowledge worker, their intelligence is their identity. I am the guy who knows how to write the SQL query. I am the girl who knows how to draft the press release. When the machine can do it better, faster, and instantly, who are you? You are the office worker typing furiously on a keyboard that is dissolving into sand. You are performing the rituals of work without the substance of value. You might argue, but AI hallucinates. It makes mistakes. You still need a human in the loop to check the work. And yes, for now, in this brief transitional window, that is true. But relying on that argument is like the elevator operators in the 1950s saying, but automatic elevators are dangerous. You need a human to close the gate. It is a temporary cope. The models are improving at an exponential rate. The error rates are dropping. The context windows are expanding. The human in the loop is rapidly becoming the human in the way. And even if we keep the human in the loop, the math doesn't work out for the workforce. If one senior editor using AI can do the work of 10 junior copywriters, you don't keep the 10 juniors. You fire 9 of them, and the senior editor becomes the human in the loop. The job market for the entry-level knowledge worker is collapsing. The bottom rungs of the ladder are being sawed off. How do you become a senior lawyer if you never get to do the grunt work of a junior lawyer? How do you become a master architect if you never spend years drawing the details? The structure of professional growth is breaking. We are facing a bifurcation of the economy. On one side, physical reality. The people who touch grass, who build things with their hands, who care for the elderly, who fix the machines. Their value is protected by the complexity of the physical world. On the other side, the elite strategists, the people who know how to command the AI, the people with taste, the people with leverage. But in the middle, in the vast, comfortable middle where millions of people make a living by simply processing information, that ground is crumbling, the floor is falling out. If your job involves sitting in front of a computer and rearranging bits and bytes, you are in the blast zone. The barrier to entry for your profession has just been lowered to zero. The moat is gone, the castle is undefended, and the invaders are not coming with swords. They are coming with weights and biases, generating tokens at the speed of light. The intelligence collapse is not coming, it is here. And it doesn't care about your degree. The most dangerous thing you ever learned, you learned in kindergarten. It wasn't how to share or how to tie your shoes. It was the fundamental invisible equation that governs your entire perception of value. You were taught that input equals output. You were taught that if you study for 1 hour, you get a grade proportional to that hour. If you work a shift for 8 hours, you get a paycheck for 8 hours. This is the logic of the assembly line. It is linear growth. It is the math of the factory worker, the farmer, and the clerk. It is the belief that the only way to get more out of life is to put more into it. To get double the money, you must work double the hours. To get double the results, you must exert double the effort. This linear equation is the school of poverty. And in the age of artificial intelligence, this equation is not just outdated, it is a suicide pact. We are currently witnessing the death of linear labor and the birth of infinite leverage. Leverage in physics allows a small force to move a massive object. In economics, leverage allows a small amount of human effort to generate a massive amount of output. Before now, leverage was difficult to acquire. You needed capital, millions of dollars to build a factory. You needed labor, hiring hundreds of employees to execute your vision. You needed media, access to a printing press or a television station. These were the gatekeepers of leverage. If you didn't have them, you were stuck in the linear trap, trading your time for money, 1 hour at a time. AI is the democratization of godlike leverage. It breaks the link between how much you work and how much you produce. Let's look at the math. In the old world, the linear world, a good coder could write, say, 100 lines of clean code a day. A great coder could write 200. The difference between the average and the elite was maybe 2x or 3x. But introduce AI into this equation. Now, the coder isn't writing the code. The coder is prompting an engine that generates 10,000 lines of code, debugs them, and deploys them. The relationship is no longer linear. It is exponential. 1 hour of human guidance can now produce 10,000 hours of labor. This brings us to the most painful reality check for the modern hustle culture. We have glorified the grind. We post about 4 a.m. wake-up calls. We brag about working weekends. We treat exhaustion as a virtue. But trying to compete in the AI economy by working harder is like trying to dig the Panama Canal with a spoon. You can be the most motivated spoon digger in the world. You can wake up earlier than everyone else. You can dig with absolute fury and passion. You can blister your hands and break your back. But if the guy next to you is sitting in an air-conditioned excavator, moving tons of earth with the flick of a wrist, you are going to lose. And you aren't just going to lose. You are going to look ridiculous while doing it. In the age of AI, hard work without leverage is not noble. It is a failure of strategy. The market does not care how much you sweated. The market does not care how long it took you. The market only cares about the output. If the excavator moves the dirt cheaper and faster than you, the excavator wins. If the AI writes the copy, generates the image, and structures the database faster than you, the AI wins. The dignity of labor is a concept we invented to make peace with the necessity of toil. But when the toil is no longer necessary, the dignity evaporates, leaving only inefficiency. So what does the new hierarchy look like? It shifts from the laborer to the operator. In the past, wealth was defined by how much you could do. In the future, wealth is defined by how much you can command. Think of the difference between a violinist and a conductor. The violinist is a laborer. They are producing the sound with their hands. There is a physical limit to how many notes they can play per second. The conductor doesn't play a single note. They don't touch an instrument, but they command the entire orchestra. They control the tempo, the volume, the emotion, and the output of 100 other people. AI turns every single one of us into a conductor. You are standing on a podium. Behind you is a legion of silent digital workers. You have a writer, a programmer, a designer, a legal analyst, a data scientist, and a strategist, all waiting for your command. They don't sleep, they don't unionize, they don't complain, and they cost almost nothing. If you insist on picking up the violin and playing it yourself because that's real work, you're missing the point of the orchestra. You are limiting your output to your own two hands while the person next to you is conducting a symphony. This is the concept of the one-person unicorn. We are approaching a reality where a single individual, utilizing a stack of AI agents, can generate the economic output of a 50-person company. A single developer can build a social network. A single filmmaker can produce a Pixar-quality movie. A single writer can publish a magazine. The friction of creation is gone. The bottleneck is no longer production. The bottleneck is direction. This terrified feeling you have, that sense of vertigo, that is the realization that your leverage is currently zero. You are still thinking in terms of linear exchange. You are thinking, I need to learn how to use ChatGPT so I can write my emails faster. That is small thinking. That is using the excavator to scratch your back. You need to be thinking, how can I build a system where I am the architect and the AI is the construction crew? The leverage gap is going to create the greatest inequality in human history. Not inequality based on class or race or geography, but inequality based on leverage. There will be two types of people, those who are leveraged and those who are the leverage. Those who command the algorithms and those who are commanded by them. If you are currently paid to perform a repetitive cognitive task, you are the leverage. You are the battery powering someone else's machine, and batteries are replaceable. But if you can shift your mindset, if you can stop viewing yourself as a worker and start viewing yourself as an operator, you unlock infinite scalability. The linear lie told you that you are limited by your time. There are only 24 hours in a day, they said. That is true for a human. It is not true for a system. A system can work 24,000 hours in a day. A system can run 1,000,000 simulations while you sleep. The goal is to realize that you must stop selling your time and start selling your judgment. You must stop selling your hands and start selling your vision. Because in a world where the cost of doing the work approaches zero, the value of deciding what work to do approaches infinity. The shovel is broken. Get in the excavator or get buried. If the machine can generate the text and the machine can generate the image and the machine can generate the code and the machine can generate the music, then what exactly are you for? This is the existential void that opens up beneath your feet when you truly internalize the capabilities of generative AI. For centuries, we have conflated technical skill with artistic value. We believed that the value of a painting came from the years the artist spent learning how to mix pigments and control a brush. We believed the value of a novel came from the writer's ability to type 80 words per minute and use correct grammar. We confused the mechanism of creation with the soul of creation. But now the mechanism is free. The technical barrier to entry for almost every form of creative expression has been obliterated. You no longer need to know how to draw perspective to create a stunning architectural rendering. You no longer need to know music theory to compose a symphonic score. The how has been solved. The how is cheap. The how is automated. So if the how is worthless, where does the value go? It migrates entirely to the what and the why. Welcome to the era of the taste gap. In a world of infinite, high-quality synthetic generation, the most valuable asset you possess is not your ability to create. It is your ability to curate. It is your taste. Taste is the ability to look at 1,000 different options generated by the machine and say, that one, that is the one that matters. It is the ability to discern the signal from the noise. Because make no mistake, we are about to be drowned in noise. We are standing on the precipice of a content tsunami. When the cost of creating a video, an article, or a song drops to zero, the supply will go to infinity. The internet is about to become a landfill of mediocrity, a sea of synthetic sludge. Perfectly grammatically correct, perfectly rendered, perfectly average content that makes you feel absolutely nothing. In this ocean of gray goo, the ability to find the gold, or better yet, the ability to direct the machine to make the gold, becomes the ultimate skill. Think of it this way. The role of the human is shifting from the construction worker to the architect, or even more accurately, from the musician to the Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin is one of the most successful music producers in history. He doesn't really play instruments. He doesn't know how to work the mixing board. He often lays on a couch with his eyes closed. But he has impeccable, undeniable taste. He knows when a song is honest. He knows when a beat hits. He knows when the vibe is off. He is a professional filter. He is a curator of excellence. In the AI economy, you must become Rick Rubin. The AI is the band. It can play anything. It can play funk, metal, jazz, classical, all at once at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It has infinite technical proficiency but zero artistic direction. It has no soul. It has no life experience. It doesn't know what it feels like to have your heart broken, or to lose a parent, or to watch a sunrise after a sleepless night. It only knows patterns. You provide the feeling. You provide the direction. You provide the taste. This creates a terrifying reality for those who lack taste. In the past, you could hide your lack of taste behind your technical skill. You could be a mediocre designer, but if you knew Photoshop really well, you could get a job. You could be a boring writer, but if you knew SEO and grammar, you could get a job. That cover is blown. If you are technically proficient but creatively bankrupt, the AI will expose you instantly. It can do the technical part better than you. If you have nothing interesting to say, no unique perspective, no distinct aesthetic sensibility, you are obsolete. But there is another layer to this. As the world fills with synthetic perfection, we will see a massive counter-movement. The flight to proof of humanity. Imperfection is about to become a luxury good. Think about the diamond market. We can grow diamonds in a lab that are chemically perfect. They are flawless. They are cheaper. And yet, people still pay a massive premium for natural diamonds dug out of the earth. Why? Because of the story. Because of the scarcity. Because of the realness. We value the fact that it is natural. The same will happen with creative work. When you can generate a perfect pop song in seconds, the value of that song drops to zero. But the value of a human being standing on a stage, sweating, straining to hit a high note, maybe missing it slightly, maybe cracking a little, that becomes priceless. We crave connection. We crave the shared hallucination of human experience. We are going to see a bifurcation in the market. On one end, fast content. Cheap, AI-generated, disposable, utilitarian. The stock photos, the instruction manuals, the generic background music, the summary emails. This will be the domain of the machines. On the other end, slow content. Artisan, human-verified, deeply personal, flawed, emotional. This will be the domain of the new masters. People will pay a premium to know that a human suffered to make this. They will pay to know that a human mind agonized over the word choice. They will pay for the organic label on their media. Certified human-made will be the non-GMO of the digital age. So, how do you survive the taste gap? You have to stop training yourself to be a generator and start training yourself to be a director. A director doesn't hold the camera, they decide where to point it. A director doesn't sew the costumes, they decide the aesthetic. A director holds the vision. You need to consume better things. If you feed your brain garbage, your taste will be garbage, and your ability to direct the AI will be garbage. You need to read the classics, watch the old films, study history, understand psychology. You need to broaden your reference pool. The AI has read the entire internet, but it doesn't understand it. You have to understand it. You have to be the one who says, make it look like a mixture of 1980s brutalism and Japanese woodblock prints, and know why that combination works emotionally. The new artist is not the one with the steadiest hand. The new artist is the one with the clearest eye. The barrier to creation is gone, which means the competition is no longer about who can hold the brush. The competition is about who has the vision to paint something we have never seen before. The machine is the engine. You are the steering wheel. Do not let go of the wheel. The history of the middle class is the history of the bell curve. For the last century, society was structured around the fat middle of that curve. If you were average, if you showed up on time, did decent work, and didn't cause trouble, you were guaranteed a decent life. You could buy a house, you could raise a family, you could retire. The economy was designed to absorb vast amounts of average capability because average human capability was necessary to keep the wheels turning. That deal is dead. The bell curve is being inverted. We are moving toward a bimodal distribution, a U-shaped curve. The middle is falling out. In the AI economy, average is not just undervalued, it is commercially worthless. Average is exactly what the AI generates for free. If your output is average, you are competing with a demon that works at the speed of light for $0. You cannot win that fight. This leaves you with two options. You can slide down the curve into the abyss of obsolescence, becoming a consumer of universal basic income, living in a VR pod, entertained by algorithms. Or you can climb up the other side of the curve into the realm of the super productive. This is the cyborg upgrade. The choice you face today is not man versus machine. That is a movie trope. It is a false binary. The winning strategy is man plus machine. This is known as the Centaur strategy. In the world of competitive chess, the best player in the world is not a human, Magnus Carlsen. It is not a computer, Stockfish. It is a team, a human working alongside a computer. The human brings the intuition, the long-term strategy, and the psychological adaptability. The computer brings the tactical calculation, the error checking, and the brute force. Together they are unbeatable. You must become the Centaur. This requires a fundamental rewiring of your brain. You have to stop viewing AI as a cheat code or a shortcut that diminishes your work. You have to start viewing it as a prosthetic limb for your mind. When you wear glasses, you don't say, I am cheating at seeing. You say, I have upgraded my vision. When you drive a car, you don't say, I am cheating at walking. You say, I have upgraded my speed. AI is the exact same thing. It is an exoskeleton for your intellect. If you refuse to wear the exoskeleton because of pride or tradition, you will be crushed by those who do. A construction worker who refuses to use a power drill because hand cranking shows more character is not an artist. They are unemployed. So, what does the cyborg upgrade look like in practice? It means shifting your identity from executor to strategist. In the old world, 90% of your time was spent on execution, typing the code, drawing the pixels, writing the words. 10% was strategy, deciding what to code, what to draw, what to write. In the new world, that ratio flips. 90% of your time is strategy. 10% is execution, or rather supervising the AI's execution. Your value is no longer in your hands. It is in your executive function. You are the CEO of Me Inc. Even if you are a freelancer, even if you are an employee, you must operate like a CEO. A CEO doesn't mop the floors. A CEO doesn't even build the product. A CEO sets the vision, hires the talent, which are now AI agents, manages the resources, and ensures the quality of the output. This is a painful transition for many. We are addicted to the dopamine of doing. We feel productive when we are busy, but busy is the enemy of effective. The cyborg doesn't get busy. The cyborg gets leverage. The cyborg sits calmly in the center of the storm, directing the digital winds. This is the bimodal outcome. The people who successfully merge with the machine will not just be 10% more productive. They will be 100x or 1000x more productive. We are going to see individual creators building billion-dollar companies. We are going to see small teams of 3 people outcompeting multinational corporations with thousands of employees. The bloated, slow, bureaucratic organizations of the past will be dismantled by nimble, AI-integrated centaurs. There is no middle ground. You will either possess the leverage, or you will be displaced by it. This brings us back to where we started, the horse. The horse had no choice. The horse could not upgrade. It could not learn to drive the car. It was biologically limited. It was hardware locked. You are not. You have the capacity for neuroplasticity. You have the ability to learn, to adapt, and to change your relationship with value. The internal combustion engine killed the horse, but it liberated the human. We stopped walking and started driving. We stopped plowing and started engineering. We are at that same juncture again. The AI engine is here to kill the knowledge worker, but it is here to liberate the creative strategist. The great replacement is only a tragedy if you insist on remaining a horse. If you insist on defining your worth by your ability to drag heavy weights, you are doomed. But if you are willing to let go of the old definition of work, if you are willing to step off the treadmill and walk over to the control panel, you will find that this is not the end of human utility. It is the beginning of human hyper-utility. The machine is not your replacement. It is your amplifier. But an amplifier multiplies whatever is fed into it. If you feed it 0, you get 0. If you feed it mediocrity, you get loud mediocrity. But if you feed it genius, if you feed it taste, if you feed it a unique human perspective, you become a god. The gates are closing. The transition period where you can simply get by is ending. The divide between the upgraded and the obsolete is widening every single day. Stop training for a job that won't exist in 5 years. Stop polishing skills that are already solved. Start training to be an owner. Start training to be a conductor. Start training to be a cyborg. The engine is humming. It is waiting for a driver. The seat is empty. Take the wheel.